I say this at the start of most of my videos, but it's very important to give context because there are always going to be new viewers, and this channel is just meant to help someone go from average to jacked, not become a bodybuilder. And I'm not trying to be a bodybuilder, and I don't claim to be the biggest or most jacked guy on the planet. That's never been the goal. I train to be fit, strong, and healthy for everyday life. And over the years, what I've realized is just how unnecessarily complex the fitness industry has become. And when I first started lifting, I was overwhelmed. Everyone had a different answer. And one guy says to train 6 days a week, and then another guy says three. One guy says volume is king, and then another says intensity. It seemed like all of the fitness experts were constantly contradicting each other. And that's why I created the Average to Jack channel. It's for the guy who wants to get jacked without wasting years trying to decode contradicting advice. A guy that just wants a simple plan and doesn't care about trying to be optimal and overthink everything. But when it comes to topics like training frequency, volume, rep ranges, people treat it like religion. And I'm not here to claim I know it all and my way is the only way. I'm simply just sharing what I've personally found to work best after years of trial and error. And at some point a few years back, I completely stopped consuming fitness content. Like, completely was tired of just hearing all the contradictions. So no YouTubers, no influencers, literally nothing. Everyone was just trying to reinvent the wheel, it seemed like, or try to sell me something new. So instead, I took what I learned from the thousands of hours of videos, books, podcasts, and I started running my own experiments. And this leads me to the video title, which is talking about Mike Mentzer and his philosophy on training and kind of what I've learned and what I've experienced. And I'd heard of Mike Mentzer for years, but I always thought the whole one set to failure thing just sounded like more hype. It was just another guy trying to push some extreme system to stand out and sell something. But recently, I finally gave his teachings a deep dive, and it shocked me how much I actually resonated with him. What really pushed me to dive deeper was actually your guys' comments when I started this channel a few months ago. So many of you just kept asking, like, Eric, you do the low volume and kind of minimalist approach. Like, are you influenced by Mike Mentzer? And asked me if I followed his teachings. And since I got so many of those comments, it made me curious. And I've now read through a few of his books, and I've also consumed a lot of his interviews. And it actually like re-sparked a deeper interest and passion in fitness for me because it seems like he understood you didn't need to go out here and do all this fluff. You need to focus on the basics, training super hard, get into the gym, and then focus on recovery. So that kind of like re-sparked a passion of fitness of mine because over the years where I've just done this for so long and it's so simple, it's not as like enjoyable to kind of dig in and do the research. That's why I completely stopped consuming fitness content. And over the years, I've gone from training 6 days a week down to 2 or 3, from doing 20 plus sets per muscle group to now doing around 4 to 6. And I didn't do this based on studies or trends. I did it because I was tired of being burned out and not seeing consistent progress and stalling. I simplified my training. I started pushing each set harder and then focused on recovery. But why? Because I realized most of the mainstream fitness advice is built for guys on gear by guys on gear. And those guys can train 6 or 7 days a week with endless volume and still recover. Naturals can't. Guys with like busy lives that don't have the time to eat all these meals and dedicate every second to training, you have to train less and train differently. If you try to copy their routines, you'll just feel fatigued, beat down, and you'll end up stuck. And sure, you might get a good pump, but it's going to fade fast. And what are you left with? Minimal progress and nagging joint pain because you're doing way too much volume. What I've come to realize and what Mike was saying decades ago is that more doesn't always mean better. You can train a muscle more often or with more volume, but the returns are going to drop off fast, especially if you're not able to recover. The biggest shift for me was realizing how important effort really is. The naturals I've seen with the most impressive physiques, and you guys might pick up on this too as soon as I say it, they train brutally hard. Like, go find someone who claims natural and watch their training. They are pushing sets, giving it everything they got. And then the guys who just claim everyone's on steroids, you look at their training and they're just, exercising and doing everything mediocre. So one thing I picked up on is guys are training brutally hard. They go to failure and they hold nothing back. And I used to be told to always leave reps in the tank, that failure was dangerous. And sure, you can build muscle that way. I'm not saying, like at the start of this video, my way, I'm not saying it's the best way or the only way. There are several vehicles which is like the workout program that can get you to your destination, which would be like your dream physique if I was using a metaphor. So anyone who tells you like you need to squat, bench, and deadlift, it's like just turn their content off, because it's really what you enjoy doing and what can keep you injury free and consistent. So you can build muscle leaving a few reps in the tank. I'm just trying to kind of simplify my training so training can complement my life, not consume it. So if I can do a little bit less, be recovered, my joints are okay, I feel good day to day, I don't feel beat up and burned up, why would I not do that? The way I look at it is if you want to force your body to grow, so if you want to build more muscle, you want to get jacked, it needs to be pushed to a place it's never been. And that's how you create the stimulus that's actually going to force the adaptation. And that's really what I started to experiment with, is testing that principle and seeing how far I could go with less but harder training. So what from Mike Mentzer's teachings did I actually implement? I dropped from doing 3 sets per exercise to just 1, and literally that's it, just 1 all-out set. And an example of my push day now is incline dumbbell bench, machine chest fly, chest press, and then cable lateral raise. And then sometimes I'm doing the overhead tricep extension, all for 1 set, all to complete failure. And what are my results? Literally personal records on every lift, every workout over the past 2 months, which you guys know that if you've been training for years, hitting a PR on every single workout is pretty rare. So it just showed me how much I was lacking on the recovery side. And Mike also emphasized the importance of recovery. So with my push legs pull split I'm following, I take 72 hours off between the push and pull days and 48 hours between the others. And with the lower volume and the higher intensity, I'm recovering faster and I'm coming back stronger. And the craziest part is I'm in and out of the gym in about 30 to 40 minutes, depending on how long I spend warming up doing my incline walk on the treadmill. Now, I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of tough to accept at first because I used to be obsessed with lifting, like it was my passion, 2-hour workouts, never missing a day, and then hating rest days. Now I sometimes feel like I'm barely even training, but the results speak for themselves. And if all the research says 10 to 20 sets per muscle group is optimal, you might be wondering, well, Eric, why are you trying to reinvent the wheel? I'm not. I'm just testing another way, because the truth is there are many ways to get jacked, like I've already said. It's about finding what works for you. The studies might say 10 to 20 sets is optimal, but what if 4 to 6 sets a week still gets you 95% of the gains with way less time and way less of a commitment? Once again, I want training to complement my life, not consume it. So if there's a way to get 95% of the gains with less time, less wear and tear, and better recovery, why wouldn't I choose that over grinding for hours and hours for a few extra percentage points and increasing my chances of injury? Probably the most important thing I've learned over the 10 plus years of training is that muscle is built through progression and intensity. When you push your body to its absolute limit, that's a stimulus it's never experienced before, and that's what's going to trigger that new growth. Compare that to doing 3 to 5 mediocre sets where you kind of push yourself. It's just not the same. That one brutally hard set does more than people think. So what's the overall takeaway of this video? Because it's getting pretty long and drawn out. There really isn't one. I'm just sharing my observation after 10 plus years of lifting and stripping this whole thing down to its simplest form. But if you're not happy with your results right now, maybe try the low volume, high intensity approach. I'm not following Mike's exact routine and his exact philosophy, but I've taken pieces of it and tailored them to fit my goals and lifestyle, and it's working. And I'm going to be adding this exact protocol into the Average to Jack program, which all course members and community members get access to for free, because every update I make in my workout program is yours for life. So it's a one-time payment and then you get it for life. And if you're interested in learning more about my private community, my workout program, then click the link under this video. Talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.